right? And if you can, Tapal, if you have anything to say before we go through everything, you're more than welcome to. And Natasha, are you good?
Yeah.
All right.
So, Shalom. Shalom, family. So, as Deacon Qadash said earlier, we always want to make sure we remain blameless. So, with that, and as we looked at it and just really having a discussion, to me, not only with us remaining blameless, it's us as leaders, our opportunity and our responsibility to teach the people on something that they may or may not know. So when I thought about it, I was just like, when I was doing my research, I said, me storing food at short term, I had that all together because I would test my system during this whole pandemic, and I could easily say I could go 6 months without food. Then I realized it one day, and I was just like, what about long term? How am I going to be able to accomplish that? So for me, I started thinking about it so naturally. I just started, if I didn't know, maybe there's others. And so the purpose of getting really sitting down and doing this presentation is because we want to be able to teach the people so that way you have the knowledge, you have the information, and also can answer some of those questions that many of us, how do I do this? How am I? And as we go into the book of Jasher, we're going to see how by not doing it the correct way, what will happen. So that is really our biggest focus of wanting this because, again, when it comes time during that famine, we want to be able to be prepared. We don't want to see somebody that's coming behind that tree, got a ham sandwich or a pork chop, and then we start to try to question ourselves, what am I going to do? We don't want that to be questioned because we've done those things to prepare ourselves so we don't have to say, oh, I'm testing my faith about eating something unclean or that is unhealthy for my body.
So I know a lot of us have a lot of canned goods stored up. A lot of us have grain stored up. A lot of us have a lot of meat. So this presentation is going to answer a lot of questions. We really sat down and, like Tapal was saying, we really looked at this thing because if we didn't care for the people, we would never say anything, right? If you love your brother, you're going to take action. You're going to listen to what the elders are bringing forth. And you're going to take heed to the warning, right? So, Kaya, if you don't mind, turn off the light real quick. And we're going to get into this presentation. And Tapal and I, we named it Preparing for the Famine, right? Presented by Officer Tapal and Deacon Qadash. So, I can read it here.
The screen where it's
And
on screen.
you want to read it? You want to switch spots to it? So, we named this slide From Egypt to Babylon, right? Because understand, the Most High led us out of Egypt, right? And we just went into a lesson that the elders brought forth the other day through our teachings, right? That the waters will be split again, as in the days of Egypt, 7 ways, right? So we named the slide From Egypt to Babylon because a lot of the things that were going on in Egypt, you understand, a lot of those famines are going to plague us now as well. So let's get into the first slide here. Let's read the example of what one of our forefathers, his name was Joseph, what he did when he was reigning over Egypt at that time. Come on.
This is the book of Jasher, chapter 50, verse 7 through 14.
Mm-hmm.
And at the revolution of the year, in the 2nd year of Joseph reigning over Egypt, the Most High gave great plenty throughout the land for 7 years as Joseph.
So Joseph had a dream, right? And in that dream, he let the Pharaoh know at that time that when he interpreted that dream that there was going to be a famine 7 years that was going to plague the land of Egypt. So when the Pharaoh heard his words, and, and other events took place, he gave him stead in Egypt, and this was the 2nd year reigning under the Pharaoh during that time in Egypt. So during the 2nd year, let's see what happened.
The Most High gave great plenty throughout the land.
So the Most High gave great plenty throughout the land, knowing what was coming through the interpretation of the dream that he had. Come on.
For 7 years, as Joseph had spoken, for the Most High blessed all the produce of the earth in those days for 7 years.
So the Most High blessed Joseph right, in the land of Egypt for 7 years to gain plenty throughout the whole earth. Come on.
And they ate and were greatly satisfied.
They were eating good. Go ahead.
And Joseph at that time had officers under him.
So check it out. This is why we're so keen on order here. So Joseph, during the 7 years, also had officers under him. And let's see what the officers did. Come on.
And they collected all the food of the good years.
So check it out. Pay attention. The officers were commanded by Joseph to collect all the food of the good 7 years. Come on.
And heap corn year by year.
And they got a lot of corn heaped up. Come on.
And they placed it in the treasures of Joseph.
So Joseph had a treasury of food that he stored up. Okay? His officers and him stored up. Come on.
And at any time when they gathered the food, Joseph commanded that they should bring the corn in the ears, and also bring with some of the soil of the field.
Now check it out. He commanded them to bring the corn and the ears. Why? Read.
And also bring with it some of the soil of the field.
And some of the soil of the field, because in order to preserve food in that day, you can replant that food to make sure that it stays right. You understand? Come on.
That it should not spoil.
Come on.
And Joseph did according to this year by year. And
now he did this year by year for 7 years. Y'all understand? Joseph did this year by year for 7 years, preparing for what he saw in his dream that he interpreted of the Most High, right? Come on.
And he heaped up corn like the sand of the sea for abundance.
So he had so much corn, it looked like the sands of the sea. It couldn't be numbered, right? Come on.
For his stores were immense and could not be numbered for abundance.
So not only did he store up, one household, he stored up many storages, right? He had like a public storage just filled with food for that 7-year famine that the Most High showed him in his dream. Come on.
And also all the inhabitants of Egypt gathered all sorts of food in their stores in great abundance during this 7 good years.
Now check this out. So Joseph stored his food correctly. He gave specific instruction to his officers, and he followed those same instructions that he gave to his officers while he was storing up this corn. But now listen to the people that stored up greatly as well. Come on.
But they did not do it unto it as Joseph did.
They didn't store their food up the same way and preserve it correctly. So we're looking at an example that actually happened in the land of Egypt. People storing up food and taking heed to what Joseph said. But they didn't store their food up correctly. So what ended up happening, their food began to spoil. Come on.
And all the food which Joseph and the Egyptians had gathered during the 7 years of plenty was secured for the land and storage for this 7 years of famine.
So Joseph didn't just store for himself. He said he stored for all the land throughout that famine, so they could sustain. Ain't that some love? And this wasn't even his brother, his blood brothers. These were Gentiles. Come on.
For the support of the whole land.
Let's go.
And the inhabitants of Egypt filled each man his store in his concealed place with corn.
Yes.
To be for support during the famine.
So everybody had a little food stored up to be for support for the famine, because Joseph just couldn't give many portions out during this time because he had to make sure that there was enough food for 7 years. Right? Come on.
And Joseph placed all the food that he had gathered in all the cities of Egypt, and he closed all the stores.
Now, Joseph was a smart man. He placed the food in the cities of Egypt in storehouses, and what did he do?
And he closed all the stores and placed sentinels over them.
He placed what?
Sentinels.
He placed sentinels over the storehouses that he closed down. Does anybody know what a sentinel is? A sentinel is a man commanded to protect the food in that storehouse. You see? So same concept, same thing that we're doing here. Storing up food and we're going to be placing men over the food. Come on.
This is the story of the grasshopper and the ant.
And I can read this for you. I know you want to expound on this. Go ahead. I'll read it for you. So, the story of the grasshopper and the ant. I named that slide this because who has ever seen the story of the grasshopper and the ant? The grasshopper, he played around all summer long, right? Or all spring and all summer, when that was the time to gather all the food to be ready for the winter. And when it came to pass, what happened? The ants was looking at the grasshopper like, listen, if you don't store up food, you're not going to have enough food for the wintertime. The story, the way I remember it, the ants brought them in during the wintertime because the grasshopper was playing around too much and was feeling themselves too much, right? The ants brought them in and they're like, well, you can have some of ours and we can sustain together throughout the winter. So you don't want to be a grasshopper in this situation. You want to be the ant, right? And Officer Tapal is going to expound on this precept here. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 6, verse 6 through verse 8. Go to the ant, thou sluggard. Consider her ways.
So what we see right here is someone that is not about taking care of business. And giving an example of, go ahead and look at the ant. So that way you can give you an idea of what it is that you need to be doing in order to make sure you sustain yourself when the famine does come.
And be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provided her meat in the summer and gathered her food in the harvest.
And we see right here, the ant doesn't need a lot of direction. Doesn't have to be given that purpose because they understand, because their wisdom is there within them to know, I have to save up. Now, what's different for us is that we have leaders. So we go back to the story of Joseph and the officers. So now, what we're trying to make sure that we're doing this is that as you continue to go through Proverbs, verse 9, it talks about not being a sluggard, and then you're finding yourself without during the time of the storm.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 11, and verse 3 through 4. Go ahead.
The bee is little among such as fly, but her fruit is the chief of sweet things.
So, as we can see here as well, not only is the ant a worker and knows to store up food, but so is the bee. Now, the bee is a little more special, right? Because the bee provides something that is called what? Honey. Honey can be stored up, and it can be a product that's actually indefinitely, that will never go bad. That's an amazing, that is an amazing creation that the Most High created for us. Honey's good for meat. Honey's good for healing. You understand? So honey can be stored up indefinitely. Go ahead.
Boast not of thy clothing and raiment.
So that's what I said also in the lesson. And I said this several times before. I don't focus on making myself look good and buy clothes every week. You know, I don't try to come up in here looking raggedy or nothing like that. But I'm also, my mindset is in a different place. You understand? Which is also part of the reason why I don't really go and hang out with a lot of people, because my mindset is not in an elementary mind state anymore. I'm advanced a little bit in the area of not trying to hang out with people, make friends, when I'm just trying to do right by my people and try to store up as much food as we can for the time of famine. Right? Go ahead.
And exalt not thyself in the day of honor.
So, again, don't think yourself to be something special when you're not. I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you right now. Nobody has that many works to make themselves say that they're in the kingdom. Nobody. That's not a guarantee for anybody. Everybody is expendable over here. Come on.
For the works of the Most High are wonderful, and his works among men are hidden.
God. So what we got next? Okay. Let's go ahead and read it.
Following the aforetime examples, our forefather Joseph received a dream and interpreted what the Most High was telling him about the 7 years of famine that was about to plague Egypt. The elders of the gathering of Christ's church have warned us to do the same in Babylon today. We admonish you to take heed, knowing the future prophecies to come, and prove our endurance. what should we do to be prepared for the times to come?
So this is where we're going to go into a few things and what we should do to be prepared for the times to come. You know, we're being told to store up a lot of food. Now we need to be taught how to store it. Right? Let's go.
Where do we start? We have to consider what will last in our personal storehouses.
So everybody has their own personal storehouse. Your pantry, your cupboard, and what you keep in your house, that's your own personal storehouse, okay? Come on.
Many people are just collecting food and water, but the shelf life is not for an extended period of time.
Understand, I know we're telling you to collect water and things of that nature. Water in bottles only last 2 years. That's it. After 2 years, you'll begin to see little black dots form in the bottom of water. And all that water is really good for is to kind of just wash yourself. Okay? If you store your water in glass containers, they will last a lot longer, but a lot of us can't afford that, right? So we gotta kind of just continue to rotate our water until it's time to come together, right? Come on.
What materials should we invest in to have fresh food when the supermarket fails us?
Right, and also canned goods. Make sure you continue rotating your canned goods. If you have potted meat, there's a video out there on YouTube where this guy opens a can of beans and meat after 25 years, and it was actually still good. It was actually still good. But I don't know how comfortable Israel's gonna be eating something that's 25 years old. You understand what I'm saying? So continue rotating your canned meats as well.
What type of food should we store?
Right, so hold on real quick. It says, what material should we invest in to have fresh food when the supermarkets fail us? Is that where we're at?
No.
Okay, so today we're gonna give the example of the Mylar bag, and when we cut the lights back on, we'll show you what they look like. Along with Mylar bags, you're gonna have to purchase labels and also O2 oxygen absorbers, which is gonna be in the presentation as well. Tapal saying, what type of food should we store? Let's go.
How do we properly store our food?
How do we properly store our food? Right, come on.
How much food is needed to survive for 1 year?
Does anybody in here know how much food is needed? How many pounds of food is needed to survive just 1 year? Anybody in here? God. So I'm glad we're gonna go into it. Come on.
Mylar bags, originally referred to as OPET, bioxylate oriented polyethylene terephthalate. Mylar bags are polyester films with barrier properties that include gas and chemical stability, moisture resistant, and electrical insulation.
Mylar is actually a trademark. So the best bag you can actually get out there is called a Mylar bag. They have many different types of bags like Mylar, but Mylar bags are the original creators of storing food in this time, right? Come on.
Mylar polyester films are ideal products for high volume, dependable industrial performance, where lower cost initiatives must be met. Additionally, the vast portfolio of lidding and sealing films under the Mylar brand have dependable heat seal performance to various tray substrates with self-venting and shelf life extending properties.
Right, so a lot of us, if you have a garage, if you store things in a Mylar bag like rice and beans, those products will last even through the heat, 20 to 25 years, right? Come on.
What foods should we store?
So this is a question that many of you may have. If you're interested in storing food like this is just a recommendation. We're not telling you to do this, right? What foods are indefinite and will not expire with Mylar? Come on.
Baking soda, baking powder, honey, salt and vinegar.
Salt and sugar.
Salt and sugar.
Right. Baking soda, baking powder, honey, salt, and sugar. These items here are indefinite. They'll last until Christ comes back. Right? These spices won't go bad. Honey doesn't go bad. Baking powder, baking soda. Baking soda is important. Why, brothers and sisters? We'll brush our teeth with it. Okay? Baking powder is important. Why? We can bake with it. Honey, we can eat it, for meat and also for healing, right? Salt, because don't nobody want to eat chicken fried rice without flavor. And sugar, because you already know, we like sweet tea. All right, go ahead, Tapal.
Foods that last between 20 and 30 years.
Now, keep in mind and think about the things that you want to store up. This is where my mindset is at. This is the 20 to 30 year time frame, because I'm not going to invest in something and store something in a Mylar bag that's only going to last 1 to 3 years. That's not my mindset. Come on.
Instant coffee.
Now, listen to that, because a lot of y'all are coffee drinkers in here, right? So, instant coffee, go ahead.
Freeze-dried fruits and vegetables.
Lorenzo, I'm getting with you on that, brother. Freeze-dried fruits and vegetables. I'm talking about you can have full meals for your family. You see where I'm going with this? Come on.
Whole and rolled oats.
We all need oats. We all need oats. Oats keep your fat, so you can stay warm during those times, right? Come on.
Kidney beans.
Go ahead.
Lentils.
Mhm.
Lima beans. Noodles. Pasta. Pink beans. Powdered milk skim.
Powdered milk skim, very important. Come on.
Tea bags or loose. White rice.
So these items here are some of the items that have been tested and proven to last 20 to 30 years. 20 to 30 years. Okay? Let's read the next category of years.
Between 10 to 20 years. Black turtle beans, black eyed peas, buckwheat, butter/margarine powder, chickpeas, cocoa powder, durum wheat, flax, white flour, whole wheat flour.
Now, I want to say this because, keep it right there real quick, Doc, because we're reading margarine powder, powdered milk. I know a lot of people, even in the past, have come to me about some of these items. I'm telling you, in that day, if we're together and you've complained about these things in the past, I better not hear you say nothing about, oh, I don't want none of that. Because guess what? Deacon Qadash gonna be eating cake and all that with buttercream frosting on it. I'm telling you right now. And if you come to me talking about, well, I don't believe that we can eat this, hey, brother or sister, hey, find your own way. Right? I don't want to hear none of that, because a lot of people say, oh, don't eat ramen. But when you see me eating a spread, I want to hear y'all say nothing. Right? Come on. Let's go to the next slide. Now, these are items that last 5 to 10 years. This category, if you could please read it out.
Alfalfa, gluten, granola, herbs whole, millet, mung beans, quinoa.
That's quinoa.
Quinoa. Peppercorn.
Peppercorns. Pepper lasts 5 to 10 years. That is a seasoning. Salt goes great with pepper. Come on.
Peanut butter powder.
Look at that. Peanut butter powder. All these things will continue to have you fat. Will have you rich during those times. Right? Your body's going to be well nourished. Have you ever seen Issachar that haven't been nourished all his life? They're about this short. No joke. They're very short because they were very malnourished growing up. So all these things that I'm mentioning personally are things that I will be storing up. Go ahead.
Powdered milk, semi-skim.
Powdered milk. We need that. We need milk. Come on.
Powdered egg.
Powdered eggs. We need that. It sounds nasty now, but look, when somebody got that turkey bacon, you're going to want to eat some eggs with it. I'm telling you. Come on. And people look at powdered eggs like it's a bad thing. If you ever seen videos on how they dehydrate eggs and turn them into powder, you'll have an understanding why, okay, I can see why I can eat that. Okay? Because we look at a lot of these products like they're bad things. But listen, during the time of a famine, and you can't go to the grocery store, HEB is only going to be available for those who have the mark of the beast in your supermarkets, right? Come on.
Rye, unbleached flour, wheat flakes.
Rye, unbleached flour, and wheat flakes. These things are used to bake cakes and make pancakes and have hearty breakfasts and dinners and make cornbread and all that, right? All these are items that are considered to store. Let's get the next time frame, which is between 3 and 5 years.
Baby milk, formula.
Baby milk and formula. For those who cannot breastfeed. You see? When the times get tough, you start thinking about some of these things. Your baby needs to eat. You can't feed your baby, your 2-3-month-old baby, if you cannot breastfeed. So what are you going to give him? Or her? Come on.
Cornmeal, maize flour, herbs ground, powdered milk, full fat, sprouting seeds.
Herbs, ground up, seasonings, bay leaf, thyme, rosemary. You understand? These will last 3 to 5 years in your storehouse with a Mylar bag. Come on.
Green coffee beans.
So the next category is between 1 to 3 years. Go ahead.
Dehydrated meat, i.e. beef.
Dehydrated meat only lasts 1 to 3 years, and it depends what type of meat you do. Meat is not the first thing that you want to store up during these times. Meat is a luxury. Make myself clear, okay? Meat is a luxury. It does not last a long time in your storehouse, even when it's dry. Go ahead.
Yeast.
Or excuse me, dehydrated. Go ahead.
Yeast.
You need yeast. Yeast is cheap. Yeast is cheap. We need yeast to make bread. Go ahead.
Crackers. Roasted coffee beans placed in freezer for best results.
So, instant coffee lasts 25 years. Coffee beans, for those who are over righteous, only last you 1 to 3 years. I don't drink coffee, but I told myself in that day, if there's nothing good to drink, sugar and coffee is going to suffice me just fine. I don't drink coffee. I don't want my growth to be stunted, you know what I'm saying? Come on.
Less than a year. Nuts, chips.
So these are less than a year. Nuts and what?
Chips.
And potato chips. Go ahead.
Chocolate or candy.
Chocolate or candy. Now, this next one shocked me. Go ahead.
Brown rice.
And brown rice, because brown rice still has a shell on it. So I thought, brown rice was actually better for you or better to store up. And when I found out that it only lasted less than a year, I changed my complete mindset. So for those who say rice got plastic in it and all that, I'm going to be eating right in front of you. And I'm not going to feel bad. I think I'm playing. But look, all those people who say, your rice got plastic in it. Oh, it's dirty, this, that. Okay. Hey, Tapal and I, if there's a baby lamb around, look, we're going to have a good Passover. You see? But on the serious note, consider the things that we're telling you here. Come on.
How much is needed for one to survive?
Now, these are interesting facts. Come on.
We continually tell everyone to store up food for 3 months, but how do we know we even have enough food for 3 months?
Go ahead.
The average person needs approximately 66 pounds of food per month.
66 pounds of food per month. And those are all the things that I had mentioned, or that Tapal had mentioned aforetime. That's a combination of all those things. 20 pounds of flour, 40 pounds of rice, you understand, 10 pounds of beans, whatever the case may be. It has to be a combined weight of 66 pounds to last you 1 month, and that's based off of a 2,000 calorie diet. All right, go ahead.
198 pounds of food for 3 months.
198 pounds is needed for one person for 3 months. Okay? And go ahead.
And 800 pounds of food for 1 year.
So one person needs 800 pounds of food. I remember when the bag of rice at Sam's Club cost $12 for the 50-pound bag. The 50-pound bag costs a little over $20 now. 50 pounds, right? I buy 4 of those bags. I buy 4 bags of beans. I'm spending less than 150. Buying oats and all that. Sugar. I believe it's like 20 some odd dollars at Sam's Club for a 50-pound bag. All that needs to be stored. These are the cheapest items that you can purchase that last a long time. The Most High, He knew what He was doing. He's looking out for us still. He knows Israel's broke. He knows we're broke. We ain't got no money. Because we don't have a budget. Nobody taught us these things growing up. Just being real. So the items that are the cheapest are actually the items that last the longest. So each person approximately needs 800 pounds of food per year off of a 2,000 calorie diet. Come on.
I would like for everyone to notice that this is just for one person.
One person, 800 pounds is just for one person. 66 pounds is for one person for 1 month. 198 pounds is for one person for 3 months. Just want to make myself clear, Con. Go ahead.
This is a combination of all the food items mentioned before. Personally, I am focusing on grains and oats, but not limited to flour and sugar.
Why? Go ahead.
Your taste buds will thank you during these times.
Because why? You're going to get tired of eating the same thing over and over again. If you got spices, salt, pepper, and all that, Goya, let me tell you something, man. I'm still going to be making moro and all that. Moro is like rice and beans mixed together with Spanish spices. I'm still going to be making all that during these times. You need to store up oils as well. Coconut oil is indefinite, if I'm not mistaken. I'm being all that, and with you guys in mind. I'm not selfish. I just wish, or I just pray that people had the same mindset as I did. I told you guys I love y'all. This is where I'm going next with it, personally. And we're going to give you the examples of how to store it. Nobody's doing this research for you guys like this. This information, this is like teaching a man how to fish. It's priceless. Come on.
Your taste buds will thank you during these times.
And also because with sugar, flour, water, yeast, and all that, you can make pancakes. You can make cakes. You understand? You can make all this stuff. All these things can still be cooked with few items. Cookies and all that. If you eat the same thing every day, your mouth is going to be mad at you, and it's going to start rejecting food if you don't ever give it something sweet. Come on.
To eat something sweet as a cookie or pancakes. This is where the powdered eggs come into play.
See?
We will now give the body an example of how to properly store your food in Mylar bags.
And that's me and my sons. We're actually doing what we're going to give you an example of real quick. So this is the shortest part of the presentation. If you can get the lights, please, Brother Kaya, we're going to show you how to actually store food. So I was talking to Tapal, and one thing I want you guys to understand is this. A lot of people online and when you're doing research, they'll take this Mylar bag. They'll take this Mylar bag, which is 5 pounds. You understand? Which is what this bucket can hold. This bucket can hold 5 pounds of whatever you want to put in it, right? So when I was talking to Paul, we were bringing out the fact that when you actually store your food in smaller Mylar bags, you can actually divvy it out a lot better and only use what you need for the week, or whatever the case may be. So you don't have to open up a whole 5 pound bag of rice that's stored up. It's good, but you don't know if you're going to be able to go through all that, you know, in a timely manner, because what I've come to find out, weevils will come from the woodworks, man. Mm-hmm. You understand? So what we were talking about, 1 pound Mylar bags are actually better to store your food, because Tapal actually brought out the fact too. What if we have to divvy up food? You understand? If you want to expound on that.
So when we look at having smaller packages, I really thought about those families. So take an individual like myself. I wouldn't eat that amount of food in one setting. But again, what if we have families who planned accordingly, but maybe didn't have us all the means and the resources together like they should? Again, it's us looking really deeper into making sure that we're continuing to care and be responsible for our brothers and sisters. That's why I was looking at it. So that way, again, I look at it for me, if I'm storing up, I know I only need this amount. Somebody else who does not have, I can just go ahead and pass it along. And again, we are still caring for one another.
So we're going to give you an example right now. I didn't want to open the O2 sensors, right? So what's required for you to have is the actual Mylar bag. Not sensors, O2 absorbers, oxygen absorbers. You see how that package is real tight? So after you open this package, you only got a certain amount of time that you can use these O2 absorbers until they're not working anymore, right? So when you actually store your food, it's going to be loose when you put it in there, as we're going to show you. But I think over a day or two, it sucks up all the air out of the bag, out of the Mylar bag, and it stores your food and preserves it. So I didn't want to open this one yesterday and bring an example of one that was already, all the air out of it. I could just show y'all this, right? Also, brother DeBar, Tommy, he told me that he found these buckets cheaper. Now I found some food grade buckets online. It comes in packs of 7 on Amazon, right? And they must know something's going on because I paid $60 for some buckets. You understand? But brother Tommy told me that there's places that sell them to you for $2 to $3 each, which is great, right? This is a good thing. So I always get $1 each. $1 each, Salaki, which is even better. Hey, come, right? So I always look for a food grade bucket. I'm not just gonna go get a paint bucket from Lowe's or whatever the case may be. No. If I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna make sure I do it right and properly. If this is the way that I've been researching and showing, because plastic can be a dangerous product, right? But if they're saying that these are the food grade and this is what you need, this is what I'm gonna focus on. A lot of people hate on Edomites, but there's gonna be a lot of Edomites that are eating good. So you can hate Gentiles all you want. But I'm telling you, a Gentile taught me how to do this. And actually, Brother Qadash, he gave me packs of food before we even got into this. You understand? He gave me all type of stuff. So you can hate on the Gentiles if you want. Gentiles are ready. We way behind. We're way behind, right? So O2 oxygen absorbers, plastic buckets, and also I want to show you, brothers and sisters, a seal tight lid, right? So when you stack them, you can store them and stack them up on top of each other. This is what I got in my garage right now. I remember years back when I came in the truth, Elder Ricard said, well, we're going, there's not going to be any toilet paper. So I got a bunch of toilet paper too. So I got a bunch of toilet paper, paper towels for sanitation purposes. Okay? So we're going to give an example of how to actually store food. So, love, I'm not a female. So, many of you probably have this in your house. It's a flat iron. This is the one that Kana uses for her hair. If you don't have a flat iron, well, she hadn't used this one in a while because she got one like that. But if you don't have a flat iron, also a iron that you iron your clothes with will work just fine. But I needed to bring something to where I could show all you guys which one has less. Okay, we're going to use that now.
This right here is 2,000 cc. So when you're putting these packets in your containers, you want to get a high count, which is it says 2,000 cc the absorbers. So if you get anything that's like 150 or 200 or 500, you're going to have to put a whole bunch of these in order to suck in your bag, right? So if you get the 2,000 cc or 25, even 3,000 is fine. You just need one per bag. But if you get one that comes with the smaller ones, you're going to have to put like 3 or 4 in one bag in order for it to absorb all that oxygen. Because if you don't do it right, in your packages, like that one doesn't suck like this. You see how this is? if your package doesn't do that, then you didn't do it properly. Okay?
So we're just gonna do an example for you guys, just real quick, just not to keep y'all. Got some beans here. Beans last how many years? 20 to 25 years, I believe is the number. So we're gonna give you an example, right? So you put one absorber at the bottom of the bag. You'll put one absorber at the bottom of the bag, and then you'll put another absorber at the top of the bag. And Kana is, my wife, so she's special. So she wants to put 3 in there.
Because they're like only 200 or 300.
So what you want to do, you want to make sure you portion your meals out right to about a pound and a half, even maybe 2 pounds. But I'm kind of focusing on about a pound and a half, right? So what you do, you'll seal it like so, like Tapal, Officer Tapal did, and then you'll take your iron, close it up. You see how it's sealing up? Sealing up. Seal the bottom. Right, so you see how loose it is now? In about a day or two, all that oxygen will come out of the bag. And what I've been doing, right, to continually protect it from the heat or whatever the case may be, even though rice and beans is really not a key factor for the heat, you'll put them in these buckets, right? And I usually put about 5 bags in a bucket, and I'll seal it. Remember, the lid, you got another lid? The lid will seal the bucket, right? Oh, excuse me. Before you put it in the bag, you label it to know what it is. Rice, beans, whatever. In this case, it's beans here. And then after you fill your bucket up, you understand, you'll label that bucket 1 pound portions of whatever you got. You understand what I'm saying? So, Tapal and I'll let you get the last word, brother. And we'll do the other ones so I can fill my bucket up. But these are just my last words. The Bible, yes, it's a serious book, and actions need to be taken because the Most High gives continual warning. And now, I'm not about just talking. I'm talking about the action too that we need to put forth with the word of the Most High. You understand? So that's the presentation that Officer Tapal and I had. And Tapal, you can have the last words if you like.
So again, family, we're just showing each one of you all here today just a way. It's not the way. Continue to do your research. If you still have those questions, just make sure that you reach out to your leaders. That way we can answer those questions. If you need assistance, again, reach out to your area leaders so that we can assist you. That way it's, you're doing it properly. And that way, you'll see that you're starting to prepare yourself. If you've already began to storing up food, again, all praises to that. But again, those are, like I said, for me, doing my research, I was just like beating up my head upside the wall. How am I gonna do this? Was this even with the flat iron? I was just like, flat iron? How am I gonna figure this out? Then I was looking at it for the sealer, and then it was just all praises through the Most High. Deacon Qadash sent me the pictures of him storing, and then that's when I started like, okay, here's the resource right here. He's just made it easier for me to make sure I have the understanding of what I have, what I'm doing right. And again, we're just giving you the knowledge. So now, once we get this down and everyone's moving to that direction, what is our responsibility to do? To teach you something else. So again, if you have those questions, reach out to us so that way we can make sure everyone is squared away. The water.
All praise, all praise. Nice job. Time for the announcements if you guys are done.